Story you tell yourself is so important, so crucial that you can quite literally almost spin anything into a positive. Almost anything can be spun into a positive, barring extreme extenuating circumstances like in extreme case, God forbid, you wake up and you lose your arm. I'm sure there's a way to spin it around into a positive way, but there are certain things that is up for debate. But in terms of anything else, as long as you're still awake and as long as you're still able-bodied and you can still move around and you're still alive, anything can be spun around into a positive. Fucking anything. Worst case, let's say you get your heart broken. Obviously, love hurts, and someone leaving you is gonna hurt. I'm not saying that you're gonna be jumping up and down with joy, but at the very least, we've seen it time and time again. A heartbreak can be what propels you to take things more serious, like the gym or your business. Or one thing that people don't talk about enough, yourself. Listen, everything is your fault. Everything is your fault, and you should never tell yourself otherwise. It sounds mean, it sounds rude, but the moment you start blaming other people and the moment you see yourself as a victim is when you lose all the power. You lose all the power in the world. Let's say my ex, right, left me. And if I were to sit here and say, oh, it's her fault, she's a horrible woman, blah, 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 what the fuck do I do now? What do I do now? What is the learning lesson here? What, that she was a bad woman? Like, that doesn't help me at all. That's not even really a lesson. That's not even really something that I can take with me into the future. What am I going to do? Just go around resentful saying, oh, my last relationship ended because my ex was a bitch. What the fuck does that do? That does nothing. Whereas if I self-reflect and I say, well, I must have done something wrong for her to have left me. Not to where I'm beating myself up or where I say that I'm unworthy of love. No, not to that extent. Not to that extent. If you're over 21 years old, you should not be thinking like that anymore, right? You should not be beating yourself up. You should not be telling yourself all this negative self-talk, this negative inner critic, where you're just beating yourself up for no fucking reason. Just because it's your fault, just because you did something wrong, that doesn't mean you're a piece of shit. That doesn't mean you're fucking worthless. All right, we're human. We make mistakes. Like that's why that saying exists. We make mistakes. That does not make us horrible people. You know what I mean? Like, listen, if you got a little too angry at your significant other, and now obviously you should never, ever, ever get physical. It should never reach that level. But if you raise your voice a little too much and, she didn't like it, yeah, you messed up. But we're human. We all have emotions, and it's not to beat yourself up. You just got to learn to not do it again. Next time, control yourself. Next time, if you have to, have some space. Have some space or take a deep breath. Sometimes all it takes to go from very livid, very angry to still annoyed but not like lashing out, sometimes all it takes is a deep breath. A deep breath. Or a couple of them. A couple of deep breaths, which don't take any longer than like 30 seconds. Right? And it is so crucial that you pay attention and you make the choice, the conscious choice, to tell yourself the story that you want to hear, the story that you need to hear. Not so that you're lying to yourself, but let's say, your girlfriend does leave you or your relationship does come to an end. You shouldn't be telling yourself that it's over and that, that you're worthless or that you're unworthy of love, because whatever you tell yourself, whatever you think is what reality will become, right? You guys ever notice that phenomenon where you buy a certain car and then all of a sudden everyone else you see on the street is driving that car? Like, you're only going to notice the things that you focus on. You're only going to notice the things that you choose to pay attention to. So if you start telling yourself you're unworthy and that you're a piece of shit, blah, 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 every experience in your life is your mind is only focused on experiences that will confirm that thought, right? You could have 100 beautiful women smile at you down the street, but the moment you try approaching one girl and she rejects you, if you're telling yourself that story, that, oh, I'm worthless, that I'm this, blah, blah, blah. Well, you're only strengthening that belief. You're only strengthening that story even further. You have to be very careful and very deliberate with how you view things and what you choose to tell yourself. Let's say in the case you do get rejected, sometimes you really don't even have to overthink it. Sometimes you can just tell yourself, well, wasn't the one, wasn't the time, right? Just wasn't meant to be. Simple as that. As fucking simple as that. Wasn't meant to be. There's no need to say, oh, you know, I'm this or I'm that. Is there some things you probably could have worked on? Yeah. But not to where you're calling yourself a fucking piece of shit, you know. Not to where you're telling yourself that you're unworthy of love, that you're disgusting, blah blah blah. Like, no. There's no need for any of that. Be very careful and make sure you know the exact story you tell yourself off of every experience you're living through, right? Off of every single experience, what is your takeaway? And you should make sure that it's you talking. It's your it's your recollection of the story, not that negative inner critic in you that'll tell you, oh, I'm worthless, blah blah blah. Tell that guy to shut the fuck up. This is not his life, it's yours. Your life. So please be aware and be very mindful of what you're telling yourself. Guys, take care.